Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Racing Topic Podcast. Today, joining me is Professional Racing Ontario's co-owner Curtis Fox. Curtis, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, Chad?
I'm doing great, man. It's a pleasure to have you here. We're getting into the big swings now of talking to all the track and team owners. We're making big swings for this podcast, and especially with the season right around the corner. We're gonna get some. Hopefully, we'll get some attention on this and draw some more entries and all that. So, all right.
Yeah.
So let's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said yeah. It's we're at the busy part of the season.
Mm-hmm.
We're
I
ready to
agree.
launch into racing, and that's usually when it gets crazy. So that's where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm. So let's go in the way back machine and let's go to what got you into racing. How did this all start? To where you were back then to what you are
I,
now. Obviously, doing something fantastic.
yeah, I think I mean for most of us, it's probably a similar story. You had a parent or an uncle or a family friend that was involved in racing, and your family became a fan of racing, whether it was stock cars or IndyCar, Formula One, and you watched that with your parents, and then somehow you ended up at a go-kart track one day, and that's what happened for me. I'm sure your story is pretty much around the same, but
Mm-hmm.
a little bit different. And then there's from there it's becomes an addiction. We all know racing is an addiction. Like I am doing this because I love motorsports, and from karting to Formula One, all the people we're surrounded with are all racing fans, and that's the best part about this family of racers is we all grew up together watching similar eras of the professionals do it, and we love doing it ourselves.
Damn, that's it's definitely something that sounds like it. And you're to your credit, yeah, you're right. A lot of us, I think, do come from other family members being involved in racing, and that just transfers us in, and then we get into it, and then we want to give it a try, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So how did you go from like yeah, you ended up getting into racing and stuff. How did you start getting into the business of owning a race team, I should say, with Professional Racing Ontario, which has grown exponentially over the years?
Yeah, I wouldn't say exponentially, but that'd be scary. Okay, 10 clients this year, 20, then 30, then 80. Be like, you wouldn't be allowed to be in the radio and television broadcasting industry at all anymore because we would pay you so much money to just come back and race and coach and work with drivers. But um, our our story, like, it started, God, I'm trying to think of the year. I want to say 20, 20, I don't know, 2015, 2014, somewhere in there. I'm trying to think of when Daryl and I like first started having the idea with a few of our other friends. We always talked about at that point we were all mechanics on our own, just working for different teams, working for drivers privately, individually, floating around the paddock. It was a good summer job. We're all young. We always talked about doing, something a little more organized that was a company that catered to all different teams that, had a fleet of mechanics slash driver coaches. And that's kind of how Pro started. And we started supporting, five or six drivers on different brand of chassis. And then we put them under one tent. And when we first started supporting people at Goodwood, there was
Uh-oh.
usually, sorry, dog's barking.
Oh boy, we're gonna take a bit of an intermission because, oh boy, all right, just gotta shut the door.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Ah.
There's for sure just my girlfriend getting back home. He's excited. But anyway, yeah, we started Pro as a way to cater to people at Goodwood that were, maybe a father son, uncle son or uncle nephew, um, mother and daughter, mother and son, family combination of kids just getting into karting, maybe their second, third year, and they needed some guidance, some support. They wanted more one-on-one coaching, so that's what Pro became was a club support program for people on any chassis. It didn't matter. And then we just wanted to help. We didn't want to necessarily hire mechanics for all the drivers and do a big fancy expensive team tent setup. We just wanted to offer our support as best we possibly could to help people get through their day and then be able to privately work with them as a coach later on. And then it just grew from there. And from getting the opportunity to do Mosport and sell the Charles Leclerc cart, we took an opportunity to be able to expand in different areas of the business of karting, and
Yeah.
to be able to run a track with a bunch of friends that we've grown up together. It's amazing to see where when Daryl and I were running it back, God, 8 9 years ago now, and then when we started the idea of putting this together to seeing to where it is now, it's incredible, and we're blessed to have the opportunities we've had. So
Hmm. I could see that. And it
yeah,
also, I think it's a pretty big step as well that you guys also have your own scholarship team now. I think that started in 2020, did it not? When you guys ended up getting the Charles Leclerc cart.
yeah. We do a scholarship program, and we find the drivers that are in our Moss Drive Racing League, and we don't necessarily hand pick the people, but we offer the opportunity to a bunch of the drivers that we thought did well through the year and that were placed in the top end of the points that wanted to get into club racing, and we helped them through the growing pains of learning how to maintain it, to learning how to set it up, to learning how to make sure you keep everything running smooth on a race day. So similar to what Pro has always done, just to that entry level carter, we want to provide a stepping scale from or a stepping stone from arrive and drive karting where you don't have to worry about anything to racing your own kart.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good description of it as well. Especially, it's like when you come into the sport and all this stuff, you normally like maybe not right away. Like you maybe spend a year on your own, like sort of getting into things and stuff. But a lot of people would want what you just said. They want somewhere to go right away. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
we can offer you a chassis, and you can try to get used to it, and development comes into fact, and then drivers can take it from there, see how well
Yep.
they do, and again, like I touched on last episode, some succeed, some don't. It's just it's the way it goes. So,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, exactly.
so
And we give the scholarship drivers as much choice as possible too. Like they don't just have to go to the Charles Leclerc brand. They can go and race on a Cosmic Kart with REM, or a Red Speed with KGR, or a Tony Kart with BSR. It doesn't really matter what team they go to, as long as they're getting that same sort of entry level guidance and support, because that's what you need.
I agree. So the next thing I just want to touch up on, and you guys have also had this relationship as well for a while now, is the relationship with Prime Power Team, because I know that's gone back a couple years. How did that one start up?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've grown up with Trevor and Robert and the Wickens family around karting since I raced back in like the late two or early 2000s when I started karting. So I've known Trevor for a long time, and the opportunity when we took over Mosport was a technical relationship, a technical partnership with Prime. So at race weekends, being able to share data, share setup,
Okay.
make sure the Burrell art brand, being Charles Leclerc included, was the carts at the front, and they would do the same thing with a team that wanted to bring in a Ricciardo cart or the Kubica cart. It doesn't matter which brand, but if they succeed, the brand succeeds, and the factory gets to sell more go-karts. That's the goal.
Yeah.
It's all the same materials that go into a Burrell, that go into a Charles Leclerc. It's all identical, so they just rebrand it, but hope both brands succeed. So that's the goal of the program in terms of a partnership with Prime. Um, we we've worked together. I've grown up with Trevor. He's one of the smartest guys at the go kart track, bar none. Like
Mm-hmm.
if there's someone that you need to go to see in general what's happening with the day between a bunch of different classes. He's really really good. He's really really good that way. Really good at organizing the team. He runs a really professional, uh, tight operation with Prime. So it's good to see, um, that our program's doing well based on our technical partnership with Prime. It was at the end of the day, it was for our team to do better and our drivers under our team to get better support in terms of being able to see the data from your most competitive team in the paddock, on the same go-kart you're on, so that you can share that setup and be able to up your game in terms of your lap time decreasing. So
Yeah, it's like a whole
that's the goal.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
like a whole joint control thing, you know?
exactly, yeah. That's how the race team operates in terms of a relationship with Prime, and the same thing goes if we're at a race in the United States. PSL is there, or Motocross Sport, or Phil Giebler Racing from out west. That's also Ricardo Kart. We all go into a big race event, say the Las Vegas rock race in November. You're going to be able to see all the data of anyone from any of those tents, and it's one family trying to get the best results on a race weekend.
I I can see that definitely. So the next thing I just want to ask as well is, and especially the last couple years, making the switch over to the Burrell brand, running the Charles Leclerc carts, and honestly, I must say, finding a lot of success with those carts. Like obviously, your team has been doing really, really well, especially at the big events like the Ron Fellows Championship and the Nationals last year. How has it been the last 3 years, really, or I should actually say 2 years, this being the third year, with the team, and like has the success gone up even more since making the switch over to the different chassis?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely done better on regional level with the MRFKC races. We have the Mini Rock Championship, the Shifter Championship, the Briggs Masters Championship. So, with the Junior Light Championship, so we did really well in terms of classes on a regional level. Um, that being shared with Prime Power Team, who also won the pinnacle class, in my opinion, for the past few seasons, the Rock Senior category. So the 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 carts performed really well the last 2 seasons. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the S14 generation chassis we're working with right now in terms of shifter, the direct drive chassis for Rock Senior, Rock Junior, and our AM29 and our C28 that we use for cadet and mini championships, and the Briggs championships. So the chassis brands look really good. We took our boxes open for our new chassis this of the new AM29 shipment that came just late last week. We opened a bunch of them today, and there's new floor pan decal, and that's exciting.
Oh,
When you see a new
jeez.
floor pan decal, it's, oh, okay.
We're getting something good
But
here.
yeah, everything looks really good. We'll see how the competition comes up with stuff to better this brand, and that's the exciting part about it. You may think you've got a really good item, and you've got to work hard to make sure it stays good, and your competition comes up with something better. So it's you. It's that's racing. That's why we're all here. We enjoy doing it.
Exactly. Hmm. So I also want to ask, with everything, you know, with you guys competing at one of the highest level championships in, I guess you could say Ontario now, with the Motomaster Run Fellows Challenge, um, you know, the competition being as stiff as it is, how is it for you guys to go from track to track? Because there's times there's like you got to go to Hamilton, then you got to go to back to Moseport. You have Gamebridge and Brecken in there, and you also have Innisfil in there. So it's like there's multiple different tracks. How do
Yeah,
you have to deal with all that, and
yeah.
setups and drivers and all that?
It's yeah. I mean, the logistics of a race team are always complicated. It's just depending on the scale that you're working with. Some teams have, you know, uh, 4 or 5 drivers, and it's pretty easily managed on those travel weekends. You can fit everything in one trailer. Us, the last 2 years, we only have two smaller trailers, so we're towing two trailers to the same race just to be able to move our team equipment from one race to the other. So the logistics is always interesting. This year we have a bigger trailer, so we can fit pretty much everything in that.
Hmm.
And then that way, it's more economical for us to put everything in one trailer rather than tow two vehicles, two trailers, split up all of the people's individual bins and their cart equipment, make sure it's packed right so it doesn't rub on anything and get damaged. So it's the logistics of moving a team is the same as if you had to move your entire uh, setup in any industry you worked in.
Hmm. I can I can definitely see that where traveling from place to place and stuff like that. Not to mention all the gas money you have to be spending and stuff, not just to haul your stuff around, but also for
Hey,
like the carts and all that.
yeah, right now it's brutal.
Yeah,
Like my
it's
truck costs almost $200 to fill up right
yeah,
now.
and
Crazy.
it's like the money the gas is right now, which is I'm not gonna get into the whole thing that's causing it, but the whole thing with Russia and Ukraine, it's like it's it's financially tougher on people, drivers, and teams now that are in this community because the prices have
Correct.
gone up so much.
Yeah. No, it's insane. I mean, I know you don't want to go down the road, but I do have a Ukrainian living in my house
Oh,
because of
jeez.
what's going on over there. But he is a KZ driver and
Okay,
from
okay,
Europe, so he's gonna
that's
race. He's gonna race shifter and Ron Fellows all year.
oh
So
wow. Well, hopefully that works out for him and everything.
yeah, he's a good driver. He should be fine. At least he
Yeah,
gets to race a go kart.
of
That's
course.
all he wants to do.
Yeah,
But
and when you want to race a go kart, you want to race a go kart. It's hard to get rid of that passion. I've had that passion for over 10 years, and I still want to do it. So
that's
it's
why we're all here.
it's like once it's in your blood, it sticks. You're not gonna get rid of it. So
Absolutely.
so I also want to touch up on because recently you guys came back from the Florida Winter Tour and being at SCUSA, I think as well. So
Yep.
cover that whole period of time from when that started to the end of it over the winter break. How did that go for you guys?
I mean, overall, it went really well. We had a mix of experienced drivers and rookie drivers in the Rock Junior category, being Amelia Chandler and Anthony Martella and Major Makovskis, all racing, making that step from Briggs classes. Major also raced a bit of mini rock, but for a couple seasons, so he has a bit of two-stroke experience. But they all made that step to Rock Junior as rookies in January of the Florida Winter Tour. So they started in Pompano and they moved through to the final round in Orlando. And they went there to learn. They went there to gain as much experience as possible, so they could come to the Canadian season starting here in April and May and be able to um, be a kind of a step ahead of maybe someone else who is just starting in spring this season in Canada. It's going to take them a little while to learn what those three drivers learned over the winter. So that's valuable. Their results, don't speak to the accomplishments they made in terms of having sessions where their speed was really good. They were higher up in practice than they had been in any of their qualifying sessions or race sessions. So gaining confidence in terms of control and being able to battle and have really good racecraft, the development there was exponential. So having the confidence to pass people under the brakes in a tight hairpin with no crash happening and the pass being
Yeah.
able to complete successfully and understanding how to block without losing momentum. Like there was a lot of goals that were accomplished and the results came at some points, but we didn't go there really to worry about results with the three of them, and they did incredible in terms of their development as drivers and learning how to look at data and understand what coaching is, how the coaching is being absorbed by the driver. They're doing really really well that way. So it's exciting to see how they'll do this year, and then the shifter guys, we had Jared Ramnarayan. Obviously, you know Jared.
Mm-hmm.
He came down for the second round of the Rock Cup Florida Winter Tour in Tropicana. And again, for him, he wasn't there for results. He just wanted to first time really racing in the big U.S. Um, heavy hitters. I'll say for him on parking lot courses, and it was all a new experience. So for him, it wasn't about results. He was there to learn and knock the cobwebs off before coming back to Canada, where his focus is, to win the Ron Fellows Championship and win the Canadian Nationals. And we're going to the Canadian Open in Mont Tremblant. He wants another crack at that because he qualified on the front row there last year. So he has a lot of confidence in Tremblant in the shifter class. So Jared went down. Good results, like in terms of pace. By the time he got to the final in Tropicana, he was close to the top 10 in pace, which was really what his goal was, to make sure he was in the top 10, be close to Davide Greco, the his and Josh Conquer, the gauge for him as the Canadian drivers that he's going to race when he comes back here. So
Yeah.
being able to share data with Greco, with PSL, and Jake French was amazing for him to see and learn. Even right up to the SCUSA Winter Nationals, where Jared was the only driver we had that was in attendance. So I went and worked with him, and he learned a lot in New Orleans at the SCUSA Winter Nationals. So that combined with what he learned on the parking lot courses, or the parking lot course at Tropicana, and then in Orlando at the Orlando Kart Center for the last round of the Rock Winter Series. So he did really really well in terms of closing that gap in terms of pace and understanding where he needed to up his game to make sure when he comes home he's on pace with the guys he's got to compete with here. So a lot of confidence for him. And then Slavik Butiatin. He's racing with us this year. He's the driver from Ukraine, so he's got KZ experience in Europe. He's raced in KZ2 for a couple seasons now. He's still going to run as much of the European Championship as he can right now. Obviously, with the situation in the war in Ukraine, it's a bit difficult. All his family's doing well. They're in an area of the Ukraine that hasn't been able to has been fortunate enough to avoid what Russia's been doing, but
That's good to hear.
they are they're here for he's going to be here for the summer, so he may as well race a shifter kart. He raced with us in the first round in SCUSA, and then he raced with us at the first round of Rock for the Winter Series, and both races had a go-kart to be on the podium, which is positive for us, being how stiff the competition is with Danny Formal and Jake French and AJ Myers, some of the best drivers that are in the US right now. That's amazing to see Slavik doing as well as he did at those two rounds. Was really well received by me and by everyone else on the team. Unfortunately, both races ended in crashes, but
Oh.
the pace was there.
Yeah.
He was passing for I believe third place in the Rock race in Tropicana off the start, and he turned into the corner, didn't see AJ Meyer on his left. AJ Myers hit the barrier, hit him. They both spun off. Game over for both drivers. So Slavik continued a little bit and then went to steering column when he hit a barrier a little bit later in the race. And that was pretty much it.
Yep. Oh
So
man.
stuff happens. The other one was a rain/dry track, and he went to make a pass on someone, touched a bit of the water, made contact with another driver, race over. Just a bad mistake. He was kind of like, shit
Yeah.
happens.
Yep. And it's like in that moment, there's not much you can do about it. Where I think all of us have had that one moment in our lives where it's like, you know, you have
One
this
moment.
type. What? Yeah, I shouldn't even be saying one moment. There is multiple moments and you know explanations of just having a rain/dry track and like, okay, I'm gonna make a pass here, even though it was dry a little bit higher up. You go to the inside and it's completely wet, and you don't turn and you go right up into the guy on your outside. Tons and tons of examples have happened with that scenario. We've seen it so many times over the years. It has major championship implications and all that, and it's frustrating, but unfortunately it's the name of the
Yeah.
game. It's like these weird weather things happen. I guess you could say all the
Yeah.
time. They happen pretty much every season, not every race, but at least once every season. So it's like, oh man,
Sometimes we'll see. Now that
yeah.
you've said that, you've jinxed the year.
Oh jeez,
We're
it's
not going to
gonna.
sell any rain tires now.
Yep, now it's
Nobody's going
gonna
to need to
go
buy
home.
rain tires. We're just going to keep them in the boxes, never even
Oh
open the thing.
no.
Thanks, Chad.
Oh no, I just ruined the whole
Jeez.
business. Oh jeez.
No, it's
Anyway.
okay. We'll be fine. They're wrapped in plastic. They can't go bad.
No, no, of course they can't. So, yeah. Vega tires, honestly, some of the best racing tires that you'll see out there on carts right now. They stick pretty well.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
will
yeah.
even say one thing I also want to touch on as of late, and I think a lot of people can agree with me on this, as the racing itself has started to become, I don't want to say it was bad before, but it's gotten even better, especially as of like after a kick ass season like 2021. And also with the fact that everybody's sort of coming into normalcy again at the time with the COVID cases being way on the down low and everybody coming back out again despite a late start to the season. I still think that the racing itself was really, really good last
Yeah.
year, and it's been building up even better and better every year.
Yeah, the last 2 years was encouraging to see how many people, still came out and went go karting.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing that we were able to operate um, through 2 years of a pandemic with you know no major outbreaks, no outbreaks realistically, and there was good racing and everything was normal, and we just lived through the pandemic as best we could and went racing, and that was the most encouraging part. And this year, you're right, the restrictions are lifting, people are becoming um, vaccinated, so that the spread of the the coronavirus is much more um, not limited but mitigated in terms of loss of life, which is what's
Yeah.
encouraging for
Mm-hmm.
for us to see that we can go racing with families coming to the racetrack again and camping and hanging out, having a barbecue after the race is done.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
sort of stuff is going to come back to much higher levels. And looking at our entry lists just at even the Mika club level this year, it's amazing to see how full a lot of the classes are. We're 20 plus in over half of our classes just for
Wow.
the club. So when we take
That's good
that and
stuff.
we combine it with all the other clubs that are in Ontario that are going to come to the nationals, even from Quebec and Alberta, the teams that are going to arrive for the Canadian Nationals at Mulsport and for MRFKC.
Yeah.
It's we're going to see some really big fields this year, and it's going to, I think, top 2020 and 2021 because
Yeah.
we're back to normal and there's more drivers and there's going to be more competition. I know some good drivers from Europe and the United States that are going to come and race in MRFKC. So if all that comes together, it's really encouraging to see how the championships are going to look.
Mm-hmm. And I also think a big point that you guys are going to get as well is the interclub, which ended up turning out really good last year. You guys had some of the biggest turnouts. In some classes, there were 40 plus in those fields,
Yeah,
which is absolutely huge. And that
for
also
club
can
racing.
and the competition level at the same time is so like say you have a 40 cart field in a four stroke class and 20 of those drivers are all right within it. Like they're all right there. It's like it's almost impossible for
Most of them
anyone.
are, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like qualifying 15th or 16th is, you look at it and it's, oh, that's horrible. But you look at where you lost in time,
Yeah,
and
it's
it
only
was what you lost in time, and it was minuscule. It was
yeah,
half a
is it
tenth or a
yeah,
tenth.
a
Like,
tenth and a half
oh,
difference.
I knew I like slid a little bit, or that I dropped the wheel off the curb the wrong way that lap. Like that was your difference.
Yep, unfortunately it is. And the same thing with two stroke as well. I will say that class has also been really building back up again as the years have been going by. Seeing
Yeah,
30 plus
absolutely.
in fields and stuff, especially at the Nationals last year. That was a
Yeah,
great
in
One to
both
see
in
Rotax and Rock Senior was one of the highlights of the entire weekend. Um,
yeah,
it was
both
absolutely
classes were
fantastic.
massive. I
Hmm.
think there was combined because there was drivers who didn't do both, just went for either rock or for Rotax. I think combined there was 60 drivers,
Wow.
50 or 60 drivers between the two classes on the weekend, which is, that means the cream of the crop in Canada were there. There was the best drivers that we could offer on the track that did incredible on putting on a show in senior and shifter and in junior. Even in the mini class, the competition was good. You didn't have just one or two kids running away with it. You had 4 or 5 kids that could win the race. That's the best part when you see the kids that are age 7 to 9 or 10 battling each other for a Canadian national championship.
Yeah. So it's honestly the best thing you could see coming out of that. And I was there as well. I should know. I was actually on commentary for that. That whole weekend was a massive success. There was barely the whole weekend as well. I barely saw any complaints. Um, with everybody raced clean and hard.
Yeah.
And there was like it was leave no stone unturned, but there was really no like huge altercations or anything. It was just great racing, and it was an amazing weekend in general. So, and
Oh, it
hopefully
was
this
good.
year brings the same, if not better. So,
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to expand the paddock, hopefully. We need more parking space.
yeah,
Yeah,
because that parking lot was pretty packed last year. So,
there's pack. Yeah. No, I know.
so
I had to. We had to. It's like playing Tetris with trailers. That's
oh
what it's
man,
like.
jeez. Uh, uh, So the last thing I want to touch on here, Curtis, is
Yeah.
so now that you guys are fully fleshed in, running the whole pro team and basically running Mossport as a whole now, where do you see yourself and the whole team going from here? Yourself, Daryl, and the entire pro team and the community in general.
I mean, ideally, like we keep putting drivers through the same program that we've been doing for years now, and that is to take them from an entry level driver and ideally turn them into someone that can finish on the podium at a regional, national, or international level, whatever the driver's goal is. But if that program exists and we're doing that and those drivers go on to succeed in cars and make it as a professional, we want to be part of that journey, part of that stepping stone for those drivers. And that's why we do this. We want to see these young kids, chase their dreams and make sure that if they want to be a race car driver, we want to provide them with all the tools they possibly can to make that transition. And this year at Mosport with Mika, um, a lot of great support came in to get a lot of karting drivers that were the champions into either a shifter kart or a race car, be it a rally car or an ice racer, just even a ride in a fast GT car, just something to give some drivers an experience in a race car so that they can get that taste and see if it's something that they want to do and make sure that if they want to pursue that, they have all the tools to try to get there.
Interesting. I think that's a pretty good end goal to get everybody into the eclipse point. Can we
Yeah.
possibly do racing for a career? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's drivers and that's the goal. And then there's other drivers that they just want to win and they want to succeed in karting. And,
Yeah.
those are the drivers that obviously for us are the favorite because it's like, hey, you want to be like a professional go-karter. You want to just go kart and win and you do it for fun. And that's the level that you are trying to succeed is championships in your local regional, your local club, whatever it may be. Everyone's
Yeah.
goals are different, but at the end of the day, everyone wants to succeed in the sport that they're competing in, and we just want to be there and teach people to achieve those goals.
Yeah. I agree. You know, and that could even help out another generation as well. Like say you're in the business for 10, 15 years and all that. It's
Yeah,
like, you help the younger guys out as they come up and stuff, even when you're still on top. So it's like you know who's going to be the next top guy once you eventually run out of steam. So,
It's amazing. Like in terms of my generation, like I raced with Nicholas Latifi and DD2, a few races in Quebec, a few races here in Ontario, and we knew each other for the entire time he was karting. Daryl worked for Matthew Latifi and worked for the family for years, so it was it's amazing to see, that that connection from karting and see his goal was Formula One and for him to be there and you're watching him on TV. It's amazing to see that. And for us right now, when if you can find that young driver that has that same drive and that ambition to make it to Formula One and you get to help them succeed in that stepping stone, which is karting, it's like, yeah, by the time I'm 50 or 60, if I see two or three of those kids make it to Formula One, I will die a happy man. But my job is done.
yeah.
So that's the goal.
Mm-hmm. So, all right,
But
Curtis. Anything else to add on that note?
not really. I mean, it's good to see you. I'm hoping we'll see you very soon because
Mm-hmm.
I guess our first race is coming up April 24th
Yeah, it
for
is. I
Mika.
was just gonna say that everybody. Mika round one, April 24th, and the weekend leading up to that, April 16th and 17th, is the track beautification day and rookie
Good
day,
points.
tech day. So we're not that far away from the start of the season for
Yes.
Mika and for track, which I will get into in the next episode. Hint, hint. So yeah, all of that. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
everyone. For everyone here, Curtis, thank you for coming on the show tonight. Absolute blast.
No problem, man. It was
And
good to be here. I'm glad we could talk and catch up. And there's a lot going on with Mosport and Mika and what's going on this year, and there's a lot going on with our race team. So it's exciting, a lot to do, busy, busy. I got a bunch of work to do after I like maybe eat some dinner and then I'll go to bed, hopefully before midnight. We'll
oh,
see. We'll
jeez.
see how far we push it.
I can see that, man. Well, all right.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Curtis, for coming on. For everyone
No
here,
problem, Chad.
this has been this has been Chad Webster for the Racing Topic Podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep it safe, everybody.